Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Assi Explains uh, YouTube channel. So today's topic is plant biology, and we will cover three topics for the final exam: plant nutrition, plant genetics, and plant hormones. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so they are also here in the screen. You can see we will start with plant-based nutrition or plant nutrition. So we know that these are three topics that, and also you should always do the deep reading from the textbook uh, in order to actually study for this exam. So make sure that you cover all the material and do some deep reading, take notes, and make flashcards as like you do in any other exam. So nutrients, we break them down in two groups: macro, like the large ones, macronutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and then micro, which are the trace element needed smaller amounts like zinc, copper, iron, chloride, manganese, molybdenum, boron, nickel, selenium, some of those, and iodine in some cases. So in order to actually in order to actually feed this climbing population of 8 billion right now and expect to reach 10 billion to 2050, it will require more food production, but also besides that, more nutritious food production. Okay, so how can we tell actually each of these nutrients and their deficiencies in plants? Well, plants actually tells us if they actually missing any nutrients. So depending on the location, top, middle, and bottom locations. So if they show deficiencies at the top, like iron, boron, calcium, we know actually these are iron, boron, calcium because they are very immobile nutrients. So if there is less availability, they are not going to be reached to the top of the plant. And some nutrients like major ones, nitrogen, magnesium, phosphorus, they show up in the old part of the plant, and the rest of the nutrients like zinc, potassium, manganese, and sometimes nitrogen as well, they are actually in the middle section of the plant. Okay, so obviously plant nutrition, human nutrition, and soil nutrition, these are all linked to each other. So in order to understand plant nutrition, and we have to really look at soil and soil nutrition. So we have these different layers, O, A, B, C, and R, and like horizons in the soil. And then so there might or there may not be enough availability of the specific nutrients in the soils that we are actually studying. So every soil is not created same. Specific soils like Florida soils, sandy, wet soils. But if you look at North Dakota, you see totally different soils. If you go actually look at the soils in Oregon and Washington states, you see actually very acidic soils in low pH. So all these different type of soils actually make the nutrients availability also varying, and then that's very, very important to study. Okay, so every soil is not same. Again, is not how much nutrient actually is available for mining there, but it's really available plants to take. That means plants are not, they cannot just take it in any form. The best example is nitrogen, which is basically um, which is basically is plenty in the air, but is not in the form that plants like. So some plants actually have a huge advantage because they can they can use help from bacteria like mycorrhizae to get more nitrogen available for them. This is also true some a number of plants for phosphorus and a fungi called mycorrhizae. So these are all very, very important. And pH also very important in the soil. If it drops down or if it goes too high, it makes specific nutrients unavailable. And again, very important. How can we tell plant nutrients are missing in the plant? Maybe yellowing on all leaves, like nitrogen, phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, and sometimes zinc. in young leaves, like again, I mentioned iron, necrosis, like potassium, magnesium, zinc, iron, manganese, or death growing tips, like boron, potassium. And there are plants that they can eat animals to get nutrients from them. And they are called carnivorous plants, like Venus flytrap, pitcher plant, butterwort, sundew, bladderwort, copra plant, and etc. So there are fertilizers, and there are organic fertilizers and synthetic fertilizers. And then they are also called plant food in the stores that they are sold. Synthetic fertilizers, three big ones are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and their ratio very, very important, like the ratio to each other and percentages presented in that specific fertilizer. So make sure actually you go and read this chapter in the textbook. Plants genetics. We talked a lot about plant genetics. So please study the basic Mendelian genetics, defining terms, hybridization, monohybrid, dihybrid, polygenic traits, Punnett square. You make sure that you can do actually a few Punnett squares, and test cross. How can you check an unknown genotype and find unknown genotype? Distinguish between dominant, recessive, complete dominant, codominant, incomplete dominant, and Mendel's laws and examples of the incomplete dominance and explaining them, and then phenotypic expression. Always remember, phenotype equals genotype time environment, right? So always remember that equation. Phenotype can be wild type or mutant. That genotype could be homozygous, heterozygous, and then environment is anything from nutrition to temperatures to many other things outside. Okay, so the next is the plant hormones. Basically, plant hormones, they are also called plant growth regulators. They are small organic molecules that occur naturally in plants. They are also called phytohormones in some cases, and then they play a role in germination, flowering, stem elongation, seed dormancy, fruit ripening, and gene expression, very importantly. And there are several of them, but there are 8 of them that most important. 1, auxins, 2, cytokinins, 3, gibberellins, 4, abscisic acid, 5, ethylene, 6, salicylic acid, 7, brassinotrace, and 8, jasmonates. If you look at your book and if you your notes, auxin, we start with auxin because it was first discovered. Again, all these 8 can be in natural or synthetic forms. Auxin promotes cell enlargement, but cytokinins promote cell division. Again, these are not same thing. You already know this by now as of week 15 of the classes. Gibberellins, another big hormone, promotes internode elongation. Plants get taller and taller. That means if plant is dwarf, it might be actually low on GAs. Abscisic acid is the only hormone that inhibits stuff like one of the only hormones, cause dormancy and closes stomata. Ethylene is the only one actually is in gas stage, which plays big role in fruit ripening. Salicylic acid, we know from the aspirin that comes from this salicylic acid. And jasmonates is another plant hormone in plant defense. So make sure study these in the textbook. Go over each of these plant hormones, where they are synthesized, where they actually move and play, and then they actually function, and what's their function, right? So very, very important. And ABA and GA, they are 2 opposite hormones. So make sure you compare them with each other too. And then function, right? So their function. So and then there are many commercial uses of plant hormones, like promoting root growth in the labs, like auxins, perfectly ripening bananas or mangoes or avocados, or creating larger fruit size like gibberellic acids, stimulating germination, again like GAs, some examples. So keep studying. You have enough time now, actually more time now actually, to study for this final exam. Make sure you study, review, and make flashcards, um, and um, and always reach out if you have questions. So best of success in the final exam. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. So make sure, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Dr. Asif Explains.